Hello and good morning everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today that is going to be focusing on Windows 10 management with VMware AirWatch. So we're joined here by Andy Philp, who's from VMware, and he'll be going through the webinar with you today.
Okay, great. So thank you, and thank you for everyone for joining. My name is Andy Philp. I am responsible for product and solution marketing for EMEA, for the end-user computing portion of VMware's business. It's a pleasure to speak to you and engage with you today. So in terms of this this webinar, what I'll be doing is I want to introduce the term and confirm a term for you around what we call the digital workspace and what's driving it, and specifically drill down on certain technologies which you may be familiar with that came from AirWatch in terms of how we are fundamentally changing the game in the management of traditional PCs, especially around Windows 10. But the background to that, of course, is that, as we know, everything in our lives is more and more becoming digitally enhanced and digitally enabled, and that's driving a different set of expectations in many of our customers. And often we hear this term around consumerization. Simply put, is the expectation levels of the consumer experience. Those are being brought into business settings. So, for example, people can get, my wife, for example, got an iPhone last week, not IT literate. She authenticated to a cloud-based service. In this case, it was Apple's iCloud, and she was fully provisioned in under 5 minutes. Nothing to fully provisioned, just through authenticating to a single service. So it's those expectations of simplicity and ubiquitous access which are being brought into organizations along with different types of devices, which is really driving a very challenging set of scenarios for our customers. So a digital workspace for us is something that can harness this and deliver what basically end users are expecting, which is consumer simplicity, but at the same token, allow our customers to deliver enterprise-grade security and make sure everything is within compliance. So you hopefully are aware of a product called Workspace ONE. AirWatch is a key technology that goes into this platform, but Workspace ONE is a platform that enables our customers to empower their workforce to securely bring the technology of their choice, so devices and apps, at the pace and the cost that their business needs. So it removes the silos of desktop, mobile, identity, VDI, with a single platform that gives a consumer-grade experience to the end users, but delivers enterprise-grade security back to the organization. What makes this unique is a number of things, but mainly, and especially with the focus of the webinar today, is this is built on truly market-leading based technology. So we've transformed and expanded the industry-leading enterprise mobility management solution, EMM, which is AirWatch, universally known as the leading EMM solution on the market. It has been for 6-7 years consecutively. And we've transformed that into a device-agnostic fabric across all major platforms of the future. So we're talking iOS, Android, Windows 10, Mac OS, Chrome OS, using cloud-based APIs from those platforms. So we're expanding upon this already award-winning technology and market-leading technology to bring something that truly goes above and beyond straight mobile management. And that's kind of what I want to focus on today. So we talked about these silos. As we see with our customers, it's very rare, or in fact, I've never personally met a customer out there that has one vendor for everything. So there's traditionally a blend of different application silos, Microsoft, Google, different device types, different app methods for access, whether it's traditional Win32, web applications, and mobile. And Workspace ONE and the Digital Workspace is aimed at bringing all this together into a single place. In terms of the problems that we solve for our customers, there's really 4 that we focus on. Very quickly, we simplify apps and access management, so allowing you to onboard users very, very quickly and give them access to everything they need. We virtualize desktops and applications where needed, based on, again, our award and industry-leading Horizon platform for desktop and application virtualization. Then what we're really aiming to do is to have a single point, a unified way to manage endpoints. So at this time, we don't want an MDM approach and a PC lifecycle management approach and a SaaS approach, we want one unified way to manage all endpoints. But what we want to focus on today is how we modernize Windows 10 management and security, and that's basically on the technology that you may be familiar with as AirWatch. So we kind of drill into this. I kind of touched on this before. We've kind of got these two paradigms. We have the kind of mobile paradigm on the right, where you can pick up a tablet or an iPad, and in the consumer world, you can get out of the store and you're fully set up very, very quickly, to the, depending on the state of management that you have over your traditional PCs, waiting for days to weeks to get set up, for IT to kind of deliver all the apps they need to come in, get the people procured. And there's these kind of two worlds that are very, very different. So kind of the aim of what we're doing with Workspace ONE is to bring that mobile-like onboarding experience to traditional form factors like laptops and PCs. What we're seeing is traditional PC management is failing because, I come from a PC lifecycle management background. I spent 20 years in the EEC business, and traditional PC management is falling short. Quite often, the end user experience is pretty poor in comparison to a mobile experience or a consumer-grade experience. There's typically quite a lot of architecture and plumbing behind the scenes to keep the lights on of traditional solutions that we see out in the marketplace. And there are multiple points of failure of that as well. It's very hard to keep on track. And I've seen customers where they have dedicated teams just to keep the PC lifecycle management tool up and running. And also from a software distribution point of view, it becomes very challenging because quite often users have to be in the right place or VPN'd in or on the corporate network to be able to receive updates for them to connect into these systems. And that obviously is not ideal. What we firmly believe at VMware is Enterprise Mobility Management, or EMM. We believe that this is the new standard for PC management. We believe it gives a much better experience, that mobile-like experience to PC users. We can get real-time, it's cloud first, and I'll cover a lot of this in more detail going forward. And it's highly scalable, and it's much lower cost in terms of operationalizing and keeping the lights on. So we believe that AirWatch is a market-leading technology. For what we've done is basically extended our capabilities of MDM and have brought them to bear on all types of devices. So with PC management, hopefully talking to a lot of people that manage Windows desktops, I'm very familiar with that process. It's very complicated when you look at applications and group policies and settings and working out where people are and allowing them to travel and roam, and how you build and maintain images and consistency with applications. There are certain unique challenges that PC management brings to bear that aren't really challenges in the mobile world. So what we've done is we've taken our traditional approach with AirWatch, which is around device and lifecycle management, and we have an exceptionally good MDM platform that's cloud-based, cloud-first, allows you to do it on-prem or off. And we've extended that to do basic configuration management for Windows, so managing GPOs off the domain, doing instant push, tracking inventory, and we've continued to expand that to cover patch management, integration with WSUS, and again, I'm going to delve into these in a bit more detail. And we didn't stop there. We took it to a next stage and said, actually, we need a proper market-grade software distribution tool for Win32 applications. So we've extended that as well, allowing our customers to have a traditional approach to storefront applications, either internally to front other storefronts as well in other ecosystems. And outside of software distribution and patch management, we've also improved security as well. So in terms of tracking the health of the device, enforcing encryption, and integrating into a lot of the technologies that Microsoft is bringing into the platform itself, so that once you're enrolled as a managed device, we can bring that to bear very, very quickly based on policy. Okay, there's these kind of three main areas that I want to kind of drill into for the remainder of the session. So when we talk about end user simplified onboarding, we want something that's intuitive for the end user. That's, Windows 10 has afforded us the ability to treat a Windows device as if it was a mobile device. Now, you should be familiar with that. One would hope that you have two kind of options. You have the traditional approach to managing Windows devices. You can take this new kind of EMM type approach at the same time at your own pace. So, and what we offer with AirWatch and Workspace ONE is the ability to have multiple ways to onboard users. So you can have this kind of utopia where we have customers now that can allow their users, where it's appropriate, to buy a Windows 10 device, take it home, or wherever, get onto a wireless, cloud enroll it, and the business will set that device up, deliver the applications, lock it down, deliver all the policies, and that device never has to come into the office. It doesn't have to be authenticated into Active Directory if it doesn't need to. We're getting to a point where now we can offer that same user experience on a mobile on a Windows device. But we also have different ways we can actually embed an agent in an image, like traditional PC approaches. We can actually have adaptive management with Workspace ONE. So when you're giving a portalized access to all applications, when you click on an application that perhaps needs a device to be managed, that can then auto-enroll the device and bring it under management automatically. So we kind of cover pretty much every way in which you can onboard and simplify an end user's approach. And also, what we're not saying is that you should take your investments in your PC lifecycle management tools like SCCM or Landesk or Pyrrhus or ZenWorks and throw them away. That's not necessarily what we're asking you to do. Is saying that we can work with these tools but modernize and improve the end user experience greatly using the new APIs and our platform to make it happen. So when we look at kind of basic MDM, this is what we're able to do. Well, it's not a complete list, but from basic configuration management point of view, once a device is enrolled, you've decided whether it's a BYO device or it's corporately owned, all of these types of settings, whether it's native email client certificates, VPN, email, wireless, encryption enforcement, whatever it may be, all of these are policies that are delivered to the device and automatically applied based on the identity of the user and also the device, where it is, the line of business that person belongs to. All of these are covered out of the box. But this is just really the start of where we're going. I'll cover software distribution a bit later, but outside of configuring devices over the air and getting them compliant with your internal standards, we can automate and script pretty much any process outside of applications of MSIs, executables, zip files, those kind of things. We can automate and leverage this platform to do pretty much anything that you need to get done on those devices. So it's about simplifying product provisioning and software distribution into a single platform. So moving on from basic configuration management, I want to spend a bit of time on patch management, because when I speak to customers, it's actually quite often still a challenge for them to get this right. And patch management, there's a couple of phases. There's the identification of vulnerabilities, there's the delivery of them, and there's the confirmation that they've been applied, and then somehow making sure that your device is at the right security level. And what we're seeing is traditional update management with WSUS is often broken. We often see a low percentage of devices being patched days, sometimes weeks after a patch has been pushed out. We had many approaches to patch management, but we used to have the Patch Tuesday approach, and there's a whole heap of patches to vet, and you can't deploy patches to users necessarily if they're on or off the network. And also from a reporting perspective, we hear a lot of customers saying it's finding it really hard to see what the security posture of that device is. Is it compliant with my rules? Is it compliant with my baseline? We continually hear that these are consistent problems that our customers are facing. So when we look at a Windows Update as a service, it adds kind of more challenges. It's critical for maintaining the overall OS security and health. But back in the day, a lot of the focus was on big service packs. Back in Windows XP and onwards, you'd focus a lot of the updates around a big deployment of a service pack. And often that service pack would be treated almost like an OS migration. Lots of planning, and a big bang approach to kind of cumulatively applying a bunch of patches with critical security patches being done and drip fed as and when they're needed. But now you often get big updates very regularly. Recently there was a creators update for Windows, for example, and often these are coming out much more regularly. And I think the Windows platform is kind of, I'm not sure personally whether there will be anything above Windows 10. I think that is the platform now, and it will be continually drip-fed patches, and new features and functions will continue to be drip-fed into that going forward. So the kind of model for patching and security is changing. It's becoming more and more challenging. So, and this could be particularly cumbersome for customers. We see a lot of customers where they have sites with very low bandwidth, and they don't want these massive patches going down unless they're absolutely needed, or if they do, they want it to be in a controlled manner. And it's very hard to do that with out-of-the-box tools that some of our customers are trying to use. So to help address these challenges, what we're doing is we're giving IT some options. Firstly, you can specify the users and devices on which specific Windows branch that they can be deployed on. So there's the CB, CBB, and a long-term service branch. You can start flighting these updates to smart groups within your organization. You can start controlling the deployment schedules based on your sensitivity to the features and the security updates. Also, what AirWatch allows is to give you a much more granular control just beyond the branching model. So with AirWatch, you now have this ability to either approve or disallow specific update categories. So for example, you can assign security updates to be pushed out to devices as soon as they're made available, but require a window for testing for less critical feature updates. So beside these options, admins get detailed inventory and reporting on the available updates. And what's also interesting is that we can push down these updates instantly over the air without any network or domain dependencies. So you don't have to be joined to the domain. You don't have to be on the network or VPN'd in. This is truly mobile and cloud-based. So if that matches your user's profile, if they're out on the road a lot, or if they're coming in and out of different organizations, that frees you from having to design a full infrastructure system just to support software delivery and patching. So I want to, throughout this webinar, I'm going to do a couple of demo videos where I'm going to show you some of the functionality and kind of walk you through, give you a feel for what it's like using the technology and how simple it is. So, and this first one, this is an example of patching. So the first thing that you can see is that you can either subscribe to the standard WSUS model or the new Windows Update Service model for patching. That's completely your choice. You can choose which branch to subscribe to, and you can decide on its deferment options. You can also have very granular update groups. So in the example that we're showing is we have prioritized security over feature patches, which is something that you may want to do. So again, very granular control over everything that you're seeing, very simple. And as well as being able to control what's going out, what you'll see is there's really detailed reporting. So you can see from a device level or from an organizational perspective, very clear details of the patch status, its compliance with your baseline, and being able to go into individually or choose the level that you want to operate at. So very, very simple, very, very intuitive, and all built on that same platform with everything else. Okay, so moving forward, I want to cover software distribution. This has always been the bane of many an IT admin's life, especially on the Windows platform. And we have the focus of this webinar is around AirWatch and the technologies leading into Workspace ONE, but we also have many tools and techniques for virtualizing applications and allowing remote access to them. But really what we're seeing is organizations now, even on the Windows platform, are having to deal with a very fragmented ecosystem. So we have public stores where you can actually go and grab Windows applications. You have business stores. You have the desktop itself. So we have web applications and SaaS applications. And we have remote applications as well. I still see customers today that need to use old versions of browsers, and the only real option to do that now is through either virtualizing the application and delivering it alongside traditionally installed applications, or doing published applications remotely. But the problem is it's very hard to kind of get a handle on all these different approaches. So what we're doing is, with Windows 10, organizations no longer need to have multiple app distribution tools for each app type, and admins can allow end users to access all apps, be it an executable, an MSI, a package, a web app, a remote app, a universal app, all from one unified app store. And we support all of them. So for internal web apps, access, native public mobile apps, modern Windows apps, and what you're seeing on there is the interface of Workspace ONE. And that is the user experience on any device as well. So if you're moving from a Windows laptop onto an iOS device or an Android device or a Chrome device, which is something we've just announced very recently, you get that consistent enterprise security, but a very consistent user experience across all those different devices as well. So when we look at Windows Win32 app management, we have the obviously native support. So you have your traditional XEs, MSI, zips, and we've been a leader in mobile application delivery for a very long time. Since last year, our customers have been able to use that same platform for the mobile devices for Windows applications. And what we're doing is we're trying to simplify that based on our expertise into a way that simplifies the configuration, supports native applications, allows you to do custom configurations with MSPs and patching and cumulative and additive patching with MSPs, and do all of that reporting. So you get a full life cycle of an application, from its association to a user or device, to its delivery down to a device, to its launch, to its use, and then finally its deprovisioning. So we're offering that ability on this platform as well. So it's not just about firing and forgetting, putting an exe down the wire and running install and leaving it. We're actually tracking the application throughout its life cycle, but then breaking down all those silos that I talked about and offering the same experience, no matter what kind of app it is, Windows, SaaS, mobile. So in terms of a demo, again, this one's quite a fast-paced demo, but this is going to show some of the software delivery capabilities of the Workspace ONE platform driven by AirWatch. So you see that in this example, we're looking at Office 365. We're able to upload the executable, zips. You can define application info, supported OS, application dependencies. In this example, we're ensuring that the .NET framework is installed because we need that. You can define install criteria such as disk space, CPU requirements, basically very control over who gets the app when and where. And the assignment can be based on smart groups, specific users, or devices. So again, complete and total flexibility in how you deliver the app. And then when we move on from this example, you'll see for the Adobe example, we're deploying a cumulative patch to an existing application. So this is already an existing MSI. It's been deployed. We're updating it with MSP to ensure that all the users and devices that need that patch get it. So again, if you need that level of management, all from the same platform in the same way. And as you can see, it's very easy. And then in the final example from WebEx, we can see that it's possible to find an app criteria, such as an existing app being installed. In this case, we're saying only install WebEx if Outlook is installed. Because there's no point having those productivity tools in place if the core underlying system that's going to work with it isn't there in the first place. So I appreciate that was a very, very quick demo, but we have demo platforms, and I'd love for you to come and approach me, and we can give you access to free demo platforms where you can see all of this in action. But the idea of that is to show that we cover pretty much all the bases in terms of how you deliver applications, what you need to do to manage Windows PCs. Okay, and the last kind of section I wanted to cover is really around health and security. And in the traditional access model, all apps and services were behind the firewall. It's very easy. You don't get things delivered unless you're on our network. So users typically in the old days had to be in the office or connected via VPN. But as we established earlier, users are mobile, and they need a mobile cloud approach to productivity. And you need to be in a position to offer that. So you need to be able to say that only the right users get access. The device is the right posture before they can gain access to your systems. You need to make it conditional based on policy so that users can only get access to the applications and the data that they need when the device that they're on conforms to a specific security grade. And obviously all of this is around making sure that data stays where it should be, either on the device or linked to the application, and it doesn't leak out into other applications or other systems as well. So there's been a lot of work that we've done. I'm not going to go into all these details in this webinar, but to establish user trust, again, based on the AirWatch platform and linking in identity and security and all our technologies together at VMware, we have many different things that we support. So from a user trust, the goal is to ensure that the right user has access to the device and apps and services they need. So we integrate with a lot of the identity management capabilities that are built into the Windows platform. So Windows Hello, for example, where you can use a passcode or a biometric scan, that can be enabled based on policy through AirWatch. We support for a credential guard, which was introduced in Windows 10 as well. That's a virtualization-based solution for credential storage. We also support storing private keys and certs that you've defined into the trusted platform module, so it's a hardware approach to security as well. So we feel that we are very, very strong in onboarding and enabling users to run in a very secure environment. So when you look at traditional Windows deployment, the kind of traditional approach was a kind of trust everything model. It's only really after the app was installed that you'd go back and check if it's installed, maybe, and if it was trusted by using A/B solutions. And it was kind of after the fact. So what we're doing with AirWatch technology and Workspace ONE is we're able to integrate application security into device-based management and saying that we can actually start with a trust nothing model. Okay, and you can say we can define custom whitelists and blacklists so that the users, if it makes sense for your environment or maybe a specific group within your environment, users can be constrained to only install certain applications that IT have delivered. And it's very important for mission critical applications as well that you make sure that if it's going to be going down to certain devices, that nothing else is going to be on that device necessarily that you think could interfere with that application. So our approach is not just a software approach, but as I said earlier, we can actually work with the hardware, with TPM, and lock devices down based on policy, based on cloud. Again, all from that same platform. Again, going on security, actually protecting devices. VMware previously supported BitLocker encryption. It has done for a while now. But the recent updates with the technology around AirWatch 9.1, we're enabling much more granular control over the implementation of BitLocker, and I'm not going to go through each of these in turn, but it's very useful for stolen devices. So if you don't want to, there is no necessity now for a third-party management tools. You have out-of-the-box configuration to encrypt the entire disk or just the user space or the system space. It's totally based on policy, who the user is, what device they're on. So if we look at the enhanced management capabilities for native BitLocker encryption, we've got the TPM, the Trusted Platform module for secure authentication. So that's ensuring pre-startup OS integrity. We can enforce pins. We suspend BitLocker temporarily during the scheduled maintenance tasks. It's very, very useful. But again, it's very, very simple, policy-driven, hands-off, cloud-based, mobile approach to, in this case, security. So, leakage of data and apps in email and social media is actually becoming more and more of an issue when we talk to our customers. And what we are doing is allowing proactive policies to say, define the enterprise boundary for privileged apps and access. So more and more we're seeing a blur between the personal and the corporate, and maybe you have corporate devices that you're putting personal stuff on, or vice versa. And what we're able to do is to tag data. We can define those boundaries within the application, on the device, and say anything from this specific application is protected. And through policy, we can say, for example, if you have accessed data from this app, you cannot copy and paste it into another app. Or you can say, actually, I'm going to allow sharing of data between applications, but I'm going to show a warning to the end user. Or I'm not going to show anything, but I'm going to audit that, if that's applicable again for your environment, for future reference, if I need to go back and see where data potentially has leaked and how far an issue has gone. So again, all of this is based on policy, very, very simple, and linked into the platform I was talking about earlier. App tunneling, AirWatch tunnel, again, fantastic solution where you can restrict access to specific servers instead of the entire network. So this is great for application level security. So it's effectively bringing the term of micro-segmentation to a Windows device. You can define specific subnets or network subnets that each individual application can access. So for example, if you're accessing a sales application, there's no need for that app to access potentially the HR system or the finance system. So the idea is once you're in, it's preventing that kind of east-west leakage of data between different systems where you don't need to have access. So if your requirement is for very high-level security, again, out of the box, we can offer this, limiting what the app can do. And also for non-compliant devices, when a non-compliant device comes in and tries to access an application through that single pane of glass, what we're able to do is validate their identity, and if that device is compliant, or we can enroll the device and make it compliant, therefore allowing them access, or we can deny them access. So again, based on the identity of the user and the posture of the device, we can be very, very controlled and pass health attestation data back to AirWatch in real time, and then perform policy-based decisions as the user's logging in. And we're able to say, okay, you cannot get access to these applications because you're not on a device that meets the right patch level, or you're on the wrong OS, or you're in the wrong location, whatever it may be, at the point of authentication to Workspace ONE. So it's really game-changing because it's really freeing up IT to not have to worry about data, if you're in a very controlled environment, leaking between applications, leaking onto different systems. You can be very, very controlled, all based on policy. And of course, if you're familiar with AirWatch, there's a fantastic compliance engine that's also built in. It looks at the remediation, and it's really designed around this, defining the escalation process of the user, because what we don't want to do is have the user have an issue necessarily and have to raise a ticket and put load on the help desk if this is something that we can automate. So you can say, for example, if the device health posture or security posture is not in compliance, you can define how you want to deal with that. You can say, okay, you don't get access to anything, or you can send them an email and say, hey, you don't have access, but here's why. Or you can say, actually, if you're actually telling that person that, hey, they're on a device that needs a certain critical patch installed, otherwise they don't get access, and they do nothing after 5 days, you can escalate that to the service desk or maybe to their line manager. And after a certain number of days, you can go to the extreme that with this technology, you can actually auto factory reset the device if nothing is done. So it's all, again, automated. You decide on how you want to do your workflows within your environment, and then AirWatch behind the scenes automates that. It really helps reduce the kind of IT or the help desk load that you'll be seeing. So as I said, we have got customers out there that are looking for this brand new modern mobile approach where they want to be able to tell a user to, like a Chrome device, go to a store, to get a Windows device, cloud enroll it, and I'll show a demo of that at the end. But most of the customers from the traditional world will have existing investments and they'll have existing Windows PCs out there. So there is obviously a journey to Windows 10, again, VMware has a solution for. So we're looking at accelerating your migration to Windows 10, giving you the choice of having the traditional approach alongside a more modern cloud mobile first approach, modernizing application delivery and security and management all together, and then supporting that kind of mixed environment, because one size doesn't necessarily fit all. And we have many tools on I want to bring your attention to that allow our customers to go on that journey. So we have a free, if you go to assessment.vmware.com, it's a free assessment. You can go and look at your environment and see the options available with VMware technology and how you can work with Bytes to take that forward. We have Mirage that will actually do image restoration based on layers. So if you want to take a Windows 7, Windows 8 device to Windows 10, we have automated management tools to do that. We have AirWatch Unified Endpoint Management, which I've very quickly gone through today, doing full configuration, software, patch, security management for Windows devices, plus all types of mobile devices. And then finally, we have Horizon for applications where you do not want or need a native approach on a Windows device. We can virtualize that individual application and publish it to any device. Or we can virtualize the entire desktop and deliver that to any device as well. So we feel that from a Windows 10 perspective, we have you covered from all angles, whether it's a migration approach, an out-of-the-box approach, or a hybrid of the two. So what I want to do now is quickly cut to a demo. So I'll go back to Amy, who's going to show a video, and this will walk you through about four and a half minutes, I believe, that walk you through everything to do with AirWatch and how we are changing the game for Windows 10.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Right. Okay, Andy, back to you.
Okay, thank you. So, it's been a fast pace. I want to leave time for some questions. But here's some sites where you can go to. You'll get this deck after the webinar. But WindowsUEM.com is a great site because it covers all the modern approaches to how we unify endpoint management around Windows 10 and offer this cloud mobile approach that's really modernizing the way in which our customers are approaching PC management. So again, please check that out, but I want to open up to some questions. So Amy, is there any questions?
Thanks,
Andy. Come through?
Yeah, so as mentioned earlier, if you do have any questions at all, there's just a questions box just at the right-hand side of your screen. If you pop those in there, I'll read those out for Andy. Okay. So we do have one question here which says, which version of Windows 10 are supported?
Yeah, great question. So, yeah, basically we support all of them, but depending on the type of or the addition of Windows, there'll be different policies that are actually enabled for you to unlock. So we even support the education version. So some policies won't be available depending on the type of Windows that you are provisioning. Most of the settings, natural client enrollment, product provisioning, password policies, all those kind of, base are available on all Windows versions.
Thanks, Andy. And one more here that says, how do you support applications that are not compatible with Windows 10?
Yeah, it's a great question. So Microsoft have got the the universal app, and there's a couple of approaches that we can offer here. So firstly, you can look at application isolation. So we have a great tool called FinApp, which is part of Workspace ONE as well, which allows you to create an isolated version of an executable. So in the end, the payload is a .exe, but the full configuration of the application is contained within the executable. What it means is you can run, Office, can be the whole Office suite, for example, can be a single executable that you can deploy to a device, and they can run alongside other versions of Office at the same time. With that kind of technology, a normal use case that we see a lot is customers that want to run old browser versions, specifically believe it or not, there are still applications out there internally or even externally that require IE6. And Internet Explorer 6 isn't a supported browser on the Windows 10 platform. So one approach to that is to create an isolated version of Windows of IE6 and deploy that. Again, that's very easy to do. The second approach is using application publishing. So with RDSH and Horizon, we can deploy applications onto that server, have them run, and then present them again to any device. And the important thing to note here is when people are going into Workspace ONE and getting all of their applications, they could be Windows applications, SaaS, mobile, those icons as well can be launching virtual desktops or published applications as well. And if there are customers out there that are running other providers like Citrix, we also support launching those applications because, as I said earlier on, we're not expecting you as a customer to throw away all of your investments and come to us for everything. We appreciate that you've made lots of investments and tools over the years. So what we're doing is we are breaking down all of those silos between apps, devices, ecosystems, cloud, on-prem, and offering you a single platform to do it all from. So in terms of running those apps on devices, the short answer is application isolation with Synapse or application publishing with Horizon apps, all fronted and delivered through a single sign-on experience with Workspace ONE.
Thanks, Andy. So we have another question here. How do you manage non-AD accounts? For example, BYOD, Google for Work on PC and Chromebook?
Yeah, so you can enroll people. Well, it depends. I mean, you can not use AD on-prem if you want to, and log people in. And then when you enroll the device, it could be through Azure AD, for example, on a Windows platform. So you don't have to be joined to do a domain to actually get these. So you can authenticate through various mechanisms through AirWatch at the back end, and then once you're authenticated, you then start delivering the applications. But the traditional kind of approach for Windows is you had to be kind of on the domain, on the network, and off. In terms of what I'll do is take that one offline because I'm not sure if you can use a kind of Google for Work on a Windows device. You need to kind of understand that question in a bit more detail. So I'll have to take that one offline. But what we're saying is you don't have to have a device joined to the network and using on-prem AD. So we can front that with Workspace ONE has identity providers that enable us to take that identity and then use that as the form for doing the policy-based management rather than we obviously support AD, clearly, but it's not a requirement.
He's just put Google SSO.
Google single sign-on. So I guess the question is, well, we support the Chrome OS and Android for Work on mobile devices, but I think, well, I'll ask the question offline because I think I need to understand from a Windows 10 perspective why you'd want to log in with Google single sign-on as your primary authentication. But if we can take that one offline, that'll be ideal, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, that's fine. So Keith, we can get in touch and take that offline with you. Sure. So there is one more, there's a couple more questions actually, but the next one is, are there any plans to provide management of Mac OS or Linux desktops?
Interesting. The Linux one has been going for a while, and we kind of work on a Mac. We can deliver applications, but I think, we see other tools out there that do, PC lifecycle management Mac. I believe the areas that we're looking at, the focus of obviously of this webinar and what we've come out with recently is around Windows 10. But the aim is, yes, to have a single platform for all types of devices. Now, I'm really interested to know the background to that. Again, I want to take that one offline because managing Linux desktops has been something that's been reoccurring for many years. We have a Horizon for Linux, for example, where we can deploy Linux desktops virtually, and customers are able to do that alongside their VDI deployments for Windows. But I'm really interested to hear, what's driving that. But at the moment, the focus is around mobile platforms and traditional PC platforms.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, so Chris, yep, so we can take that offline. He's just said really need to exceed the functionality currently offered by Meraki.
Meraki?
Meraki, M-E-R-A-K-I.
Okay, I guess that's a tool that's online. I'm not familiar with that tool.
Anyway, so yeah, so Chris, we can take that offline for you and get back to you on that. And we have another question here. This one's from Mark. He said, can AirWatch's Windows policies and settings be applied to virtual Windows 10 desktops as well? The focus seems to be more on physical devices.
Yeah, yes, that agent can run in any form of Windows, so it's completely down to you how you want to do it. Obviously, typically for a VDI perspective, it's a lot easier to do and control the management. So that agent, yeah, it's just basically an agent sitting in the Windows OS. So there's no reason why it's really down to how you want to manage, and it starts where you start having these really interesting conversations where those barriers start to break down. Where on a physical PC you have one approach, and on a virtual desktop you have another approach, on a mobile desktop you have another approach. The idea with AirWatch as a technology and Workspace ONE as a platform is that we're kind of removing all those boundaries and giving you kind of a single view into all those devices. So yes, you can use that to do application delivery. It really depends on where you're coming from, because if you're already a Horizon customer and you're using VDI, you'll probably have other tools in place as well. So it's kind of down to how you want to go and how far you want to take it.
Thanks, Andy. And there is another question here. We have 15 years investment in SCCM for our traditional PC users, but we see the need for modernisation. Do we need to throw out our investment and start again?
No, I think I made that point, yeah, in the webinar. And my background is, before I joined VMware 5 years ago, I worked at Novell, and I worked with ZenWorks, and I saw lots of tools out there in the market, and I did NT4 to XP migrations, and I come historically from this background. And when we speak to customers, it's very similar to Citrix as well, where if Citrix has a particular slither of the solution that I've talked about today around application publishing. It's been around for 20 years. We meet many customers that have been doing that, and also SCCM. And the answer absolutely is fundamentally no. We're not saying that you need to rip and replace everything that you already have. But what we are saying is, if you want a modern, cloud-first, identity-based approach, VMware is unique in being able to offer that, and we offer a roadmap to move to that, or work in conjunction. So we have customers today using Workspace ONE, driven by AirWatch, and SCCM. We have customers today that, for some users, have taken away SCCM and are using Workspace ONE and AirWatch to do all the management. And we've got some customers that stay with SCCM and then use Workspace ONE for the identity portions and the security portions. So, and this goes back to that message, it's a platform. So we don't want you to come and take a certain colored pill and throw everything out. And this has been very deliberate in the way the product's been designed and brought to market, because we appreciate that, I've been in this business for, since the early 2000s. There's all different types of customers out there. And the way that we add value is we bring all those silos together as a technology.
Thanks, Andy. And we have one question here. It's from David, who said, we currently use AirWatch MDM for managing mobiles. Yep. What options are there to add Windows 10 management and costs?
Yeah, so Windows 10 supported basically as a platform. There are different, obviously this would be another one to take offline, but there are different editions of AirWatch, green, orange, yellow. Depending on those, you may already have access to a lot of the features I've talked about. There is a path also to move to Workspace ONE. So depending on that package, you'll have also entitlements to Workspace ONE editions. And Workspace ONE is really driven underneath the hood by the technologies that you're familiar with, which is AirWatch and also Horizon, with security identity kind of layered on top into a platform. So yeah, Windows 10 is a supported device. But it really depends on, you know, if you're on AirWatch green, blue, orange, yellow. And what we'd love to do is have a conversation with Bytes and yourself to say, okay, what's the best roadmap for you? Is it to come to Workspace 1 now? Are you basing it on devices today? Or do you want to move to a more user-centric approach? But in terms of management, out of the box, you can enroll and manage Windows 10 devices today, most likely depending on what version that you have. So come talk to Bytes, let us know, and we'll give you a roadmap.
Brilliant, thanks Andy. All right, so David said thank you, said he'll contact his Bytes account manager. Brilliant. Okay, so I think that might be all the questions that we've got for today. Thank you everyone so much for joining the webinar, and thank you Andy for presenting as well. As mentioned previously, that there is a feedback form at the end, so if you would like any more information or a follow-up call, just pop that in there and we will be in touch with you. So thanks everyone, and thanks Andy again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, thank you very much.